The Writers Guild of America has decided to go on strike. And I think this is a good time to talk about why we should all support the writers, because this is a story about classism, respecting workers, corporate greed, and is a true David and Goliath story. These are the compensation packages for 8 executives for last year, not multiple year contracts, last year. Adam Conover really explained this better than me.
On this industry that say, look, times are changing. We are not making as much money as we once did. This is not the golden era of television, although some of us would argue the shows are great. What do you say to them?
So I'd point out the fact that David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is, the parent company of the network I'm talking to you on right now, was paid $250 million last year, $250 million. That's about the same level as what 10,000 writers are asking him to pay all of us collectively, all right? So I would say if you're being paid $250 million, Ted Sarandos made about $50 million last year. These companies are making enormous amounts of money. Their profits are going up. It's ridiculous for them to plead poverty when the writers who are making their shows, some of them are not able to pay their rent or their mortgages. I literally know writers who have had to go on assistance because they have not been able to make their year. If you look at these companies, they're making more money than ever. It's the people who make the shows for them that are making less.
Writing for TV and film used to be a way into the middle class, but with the advent of streaming, big corporations, Netflix, HBO Discovery, found ways to work around the WGA contract so that they were hiring fewer writers, giving them more work, and working them for fewer weeks. So compensation had to be stretched out for years sometimes between work, and this tweet is a perfect example of how people have had to survive. The other entertainment unions are in full support of the WGA. The WGA also wants to guarantee that AI is not used to replace writers and that current writers' work is not being used to train AI. I always say that AI in script writing is always promoted by people who have no idea how to write a script. It's also important that we have some transparency on the viewership numbers, because I don't know if you noticed, but a bunch of shows got axed by this guy. And there was no transparency over whether those shows were axed because they weren't popular or not. But it was an awful lot of shows by people of color, and so it raised a lot of suspicions. It takes years and years of uncompensated labor to become good at writing scripts. And those of us who write scripts understand that it takes a lot of collaboration and instinct to be able to do it correctly. Writers are workers who actually create artwork. Think of what happened during the pandemic. What was the first thing you did? It was probably when you realized you were locked down, you turned to your favorite book or music or television show or film to comfort you and keep you occupied in the hours that we were all locked down. But writing is a deeply, deeply disrespected profession. Most people don't understand how hard it is because we all learn a certain degree of writing proficiency starting in kindergarten, but they don't realize that the difference between someone who writes some emails or a few memos for work is drastically different than a person that shapes and can write a speech or a script or do fine-tune editing. These are laborers and they deserve health insurance and a living wage. And especially when studios and executives are making millions and billions in profit, and it's going to shareholders and top executives who don't have any talent and just move money around. We need to pay people who have talent and work hard and train to be better at their job. I support the WGA not only because I write scripts, but I love television and film, and I appreciate what they do, and I believe that people should be compensated fairly for that work. The people that create something should have a share of the profits, and the money just shouldn't be held by the top 1% of the 1%. So give them hell, WGA. I, for one, am behind you.